If you think America's two-party system is dysfunctional, then you're in the right place. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Art. Every weekday morning, I try, not always successful, to do a short video that hopefully will cause people to think and cause people to discuss. And specifically discuss how to end the two-party divide. Because that's not the discussion, it's always arguments. And I hate the two-party system. Okay, that introduction I'm going to do or something similar every morning. But in visiting with a friend of mine this week, he had said that he checked out the Coffee with Art when it first started, but it was too repetitious. And you know what? He was right. Because my concern was, if somebody is on the internet and they just kind of discover one of my videos, I want them to think about it in the right way. I want them to understand that this is not the traditional right-left, Democrat versus Republican political discussion. It's a discussion about how to end that, how it came about, and what we can do about it. That's why I wrote the book. Oh yeah, Political Cocaine. How America got hooked on the two-party system and how to intervene. So I think the basics are all in there, and hopefully it ties together. But if people can't afford the book or haven't bought it yet, haven't read it, that's fine. I still want the ideas to get across, and so that's the idea of the Coffee with Art. But at the start, what I was doing is I was repeating the entire background every time, hopefully for the benefit of somebody new that might discover the video. But see, what you run into by doing that is you turn off the people who are already with you because, you know, it's too repetitious. So that's why I say I'm going to try hold the introductory part down to 30 seconds or less. Hopefully that I can be enough to get people's mindset at least in the right direction before I start the actual new content for that day. But I'm definitely going to try to have new content, but I still feel I have to have an introduction in case somebody happens on that segment, just like they do with a television show, right? What happens? They got that same theme music and the video introduction going on at the start of the show every week. It's the same. And so that's the idea, is to get everybody in the mood. Well, I don't know if I can get you in the mood, but I'd sure like to. Of having a pleasant discussion, because I love that. So that's what I pretend to do, is I turn on the camera function of the phone, and then I try to have, I just pretend I'm having a discussion with a friend. And so if you're watching this, you're my friend, and I'm glad to see you. And I hope we can have a pleasant discussion as a result, and some significant thought about how to end the two-party divide. So that's what it's all about. Now, in safety business that I just retired from a few months ago, we learned that if there's a hazard, something that can cause harm in terms of physical injury, number one, death would be the worst physical injury, of course, but also damage to equipment, which in turn can lead to injury. So that's been my job. And what we learn in safety is if you identify a hazard, first of all, that's number one. You've got to identify the hazard. Because if there's a hazard there and you don't recognize it, that's when the injury is definitely going to happen, or when something real bad is going to happen. So the first thing is you got to identify the hazard. Then secondly, there's two things you can do with a hazard. You can eliminate it, or you can mitigate. Now, in the last coffee that I got to, I talked about eliminating. Well, I can't see how we can eliminate the parties, but I want everybody to understand we did not always have political parties. If you support the Constitution of 1787, which is our working Constitution yet today, there were no political parties and there's no provision for them. They're weeds, and we got to do some weeding. Excuse me, a little touch of a tickle this morning. So that's the whole idea. But it's a complex situation, and complex situations need to be broken down. And as a teacher, that's what I always tried to do, is try to break it down so my students could understand. And basically, I'm trying to do the same thing now in the hopes that the people who choose to participate, yeah, they're like my students and that I hope they learn, but I'm hoping I learn too. I think we all need to learn together. But we need to have a discussion where everybody can contribute, and that discussion needs to be about how to end the two-party divide. Okay, that's, once again, it's repetitious. But, okay, what happens is when your brains view something as important, and you're automatically, your brain's going to suck that up. Boom, 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 boom. Because when you learn something, it's new connections between brain cells. And so those brain cells that are already connected, we call them your neural network. So what happens is with a new piece of information, in order for that to get some new brain cells connection, because that's what it's all about. When you learn anything, I don't care what it is, your brain cells are making new connections. And your brain cells are going to be triggered by the overall program of the brain, which is to preserve our species. Each brain basically decides for itself what's important for your survival. And if something is important for your survival, your brain is automatically going to pick it up. In other words, something you like to do and something that's important to you, think about when you were in school. If you had a favorite subject, you only had to hear things once. But if there was something that wasn't your favorite subject, you didn't really care about it, oh, you got to hear it multiple times. That's why repetition is important in education. Repetition is important in education. Repetition is important in education for that reason. So what I try to do is not have so much repetition in the front, and when I'm repeating these ideas, not doing them in the same way, but instead trying to show a different dimension of that particular situation or problem and how it affects the entire system. Because that's a lot of times what people have not thought through. Okay, so I want you to know there's a little bit of a method to my madness. And every day I'm going to take a couple of whacks out of that tree. And I hope at some point you will decide to pick up your little hatchet and take a couple of whacks out of the tree too. And it's really pretty easy. Just discuss how to end it. And the suggestions are in the book. And piece by piece, right here. So it's great to talk to my friends. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully generated a little thought. And please remember that every day is a gift. That's why they call it the present. And so I hope you can unwrap that present and do it very carefully now. There's good stuff in there today, but you might miss it if you're not paying attention. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful discussion. Have a great day.